Hi everyone, I hope you all are doing well and staying safe and healthy during these times. This is Radhika here again, and this video is going to be about three instances that I have seen in my own life where the narcissistic people I have encountered have shown jealousy in different forms. And once they show jealousy towards something in life, then they try to bring that energy into their own life, and how that can sometimes go haywire. So, as I mentioned in my previous videos, jealousy or envy is not really a bad energy if you know how to use it in a good way and if you are balanced within yourself. So, jealousy just shows us a lack of something that we have in our life, and then we can work about in our life to get that thing that we are lacking, right? So for example, if you have grown up in a family environment where you never felt supported in your life, and then you have a friend of yours who you see being supported by their loved ones, and a part of you may feel jealous because of that. So then the right way of using this jealousy for your own benefit, or to kind of integrate that missing aspect in your life, is to make a friend circle or a support system in your life which is encouraging you, or which is like the surrogate family that you never had, that you naturally growing up did not have. So that is an organic way of using your jealousy. Now narcissists many times, what they do is they feel jealous a lot, but they don't use the jealousy in the correct way to integrate things into their life. Instead, what they set out to do is they set out to destroy other people's life who have those things, or they try to destroy that aspect of other people's life when they have those things. So there are many destruction examples as well, but the examples I'm giving today, the three that I have, are not really where they try to destroy the thing for the other person. So these narcissists that I'm going to talk about are not really the malignant ones. um, but these are somewhere on the spectrum of narcissism, and they are not using jealousy in a very organic way to integrate the thing that's missing in their life. First example I have is of a friend I encountered in my master's when I was doing computer science. So once we all were sitting, like it was a friends group, and this friend and another friend were discussing how they got married, and this is like an they were both Indian, so we were talking about Indian marriages, which are a pretty grand, grand event. So the narcissistic person in this case was getting a bit edgy because she had been married, and she some idea in her brain kind of got competitive with the other person who was talking about her marriage. So her the second person, who was the non-narcissistic one, their marriage was more recent. So when they were kind of telling us, and everyone was asking them about their marriage because they had just come back from India after getting married. So obviously everyone was asking, how was it, where did you do it, what was in the food, etc., etc. And this narcissistic person was getting really triggered by it, because when she had come back, no one had taken so much of an interest in her marriage. And suddenly she saw that when other person is getting a lot of interest for their marriage, maybe that part of her that had felt hurt when she had gotten married, and this was like way back, a part of her ego got really triggered because this other person's marriage was getting attention, interest, people were asking about it. So she got really competitive, and whenever this person would say this was the venue, she was like, oh, that's not really great, we also looked at it but we didn't like it so much. So there was a constant putting down of this person's marriage details. So what happened is, after a while, the rest of us just stopped talking and stopped asking this person about their marriage details, because it just came to a point where we are asking, and whenever the person answers something, the narcissistic person is putting them down. And we didn't actually want that to happen. We were just like curious and we were asking about things. So anyway, so that was the start of it. And then later, so all of us kind of understood the situation and we stopped asking the questions. And then later on, this person, he or she, like, they also were talking about some other relative or something. So they said some incident about a relative of theirs getting some sort of a cancer. I forget the details of it. And we all were like, oh, that's really sad. And we gave the generic response of like generic humanity, where you feel bad that, oh, someone got cancer, even though none of us actually knew that person who got cancer. But this narcissistic person, instead of having the empathetic response, their brain was still in the competitive spirit with this other person who had recently gotten married. And so the response that the narcissistic person gave to that was that, I have a relative who got this cancer and it was at the last stage. So they were trying to one up even the disease of cancer that this other person was talking about. And at that point, all of us kind of were shocked at the level of competition and jealousy that a narcissistic person can develop, and how unconscious it can make someone, that this person did not just put down the other friend's marriage first and then said bad things about every decision or everything that they were discussing about the marriage. But then later, when they just mentioned off the cuff some incident about a relative getting cancer, they wanted to one up that as well. So we were all just like flabbergasted at the level of narcissism that this friend of ours was showing. And it was just an awkward conversation, and then all of us kind of kept quiet, and then we went our own ways because it was getting too too weird to sit there and just like kind of take in the level of self indulgence that our friend was showing. So we kind of left her alone and everyone dispersed. But that's my first example. So a narcissist can get jealous to such a degree where they want to one up the conversation in any which way possible. It might not be logical, it might not be empathetic, it might not even be human, the way they want to one up someone. Then the second example I have is, I encountered a narcissistic person once who had a brother who married two times or more than one times. And this person, who was the narcissistic person, was a golden child, but they were very narcissistic from inside. So what happened is, they had done, in India, we do an arranged marriage. So again, this is an Indian example I'm giving you. So they had done an arranged marriage and they were quite happy in it actually. But then when they saw their brother doing a love marriage, which is a little bit rare in India, they realized, oh, I could have done that as well. But by this time, the person was already married. So what they did was, they started having affairs on the side because they got jealous of their brother who had done a love marriage. So they kept their arranged marriage going on, and under the covers, they would find, like women on, like they worked with, to have emotional affairs, etc. And so all of this came from the jealousy of their brother being able to have a partner whom they liked. And it was not like this person had a bad wife or anything, they had a good wife. But it's just the jealousy that, how is it possible that my brother can have like can marry a woman that they like, and I can't do that. And what they wanted to do was they wanted to keep this role of the golden child going, because that's what kind of gave them favors, or that made them the favorite child to their parents. And the other brother, they always kind of made it a point to show that, they are the ones who didn't listen to the family. They are the ones who kind of they are not the obedient one, etc., and they do whatever they want, they are selfish, etc. But actually this person behind the scenes, they kind of just betrayed their entire marriage, and they kept on having affairs on the side. So that's the face of jealousy. Instead of thinking that, okay, maybe my brother first fell in love with someone and then met them, and then married them. For me, it's the opposite way. I first married someone and then I can be in love with someone. Or just like, even if they actually fall in love with someone, that's a different thing. But they didn't even want to fall in love with anyone. They just wanted to have what their brother has. And probably their brother, I don't know like his brother so well, but probably he really did fall in love to go against the family's wishes and do all of that jazz, and then get married to the girl of his choices. But yeah, so they kind of gave up their entire marriage. Didn't give it up, they still are married, but kind of gave up the sanctity of that marriage, the truth of that marriage, the purity of the marriage, just to fulfill their own desires, which came out of jealousy for their own brother. So that's another example which is quite life altering if you think about it, for the wife and the kids, etc. Then the third example I have is of a narcissistic person who who is not like so narcissistic. It's not so high on the narcissistic scale. It's probably a narcissism which all of us show every now and then, which is kind of getting either inspired by someone, or doing what someone else has done in life. So there is a sense to this third incident that I'm telling you, is that sometimes, like once I met a person who would take like good financial ideas from different people, and then they would kind of implement them in their own life. So I would say that, and in doing that, they would face some difficulty, like some discomfort to their family, I would say, like make their family live for less than what they can. But yeah, this person was a bit more materialistic, and they would take financial ideas from everyone. But the thing is, the other people they would take the ideas from were not making their family suffer for less, in less money. But this person was a bit stingy, I would say. And what they would do is they would then implement these ideas in their own life, whether it made sense or not. So that is the a little bit toxic part of it, that they would implement it even at the disadvantage of their own family. So the third one is really not super toxic, and it is something that all of us human beings do. So that was like the third example, which was not really of a malignant narcissistic person, but you can see some narcissism there, where for their own advantage they are implementing what others are doing, but they are not really seeing that the situation is not the same in that person's life and in my life, but they still want to implement it. Why? Because they feel like, oh, like I just want to copy them. So it's more of a mimicking than getting inspired. So how do we use jealousy in a good way? So if you want to use, if you feel jealous and if you want to use jealousy, what you have to understand is, what lack feeling are you getting from that jealousy? Like, are you feeling that the other person is richer than me, or are you feeling that the other person has more freedom than me, or are you feeling that the other person is getting more care or attention than me? So then what you have to do is you have to find organic ways to get these things integrated in your own life, and you have to see that the way you do it is very organic. It's not something that is destroying the other person, or it is not something that is making life for the people around you more difficult. So if you do this in a balanced way, then you can say that yes, I did use my jealousy properly, and I'm not probably falling on the narcissistic spectrum where I feel jealous and then I do some random things to get my needs met. You are getting your needs met in a more organic fashion. So that was this video. I hope this helps you in some way, and as always, I wish you all a lot of love and a lot of light. Thank you. Bye.